All right, I'm gonna go ahead and get us started here in just a minute. All right. My name's Brent Green. I am a career coach in CLA Career Services. I usually specialize with our business and tech students. And I'll let Ben go ahead and introduce himself.
Hi, everyone. My name is Ben. I serve as the career field community leader for people who are interested in business and tech careers. So, if you're looking for some peer advice, if you're looking to get into the sort of business industry, then I'm your man.
All right. And so today we're gonna go over a quick introduction of our Office of Career Services and some of the things we provide. I'll go over understanding your offer, a little bit about the things that are included in it, specifically other than the salary or the direct salary. And then Ben will take over and go over some negotiation tips for you. And we'll have a Q&A at the end. But I'm somebody who forgets my questions if I don't ask them. And we can't actually hear from you guys, so you'll post them in the chat. So feel free to put them in the chat as you have them as we're going, and then Ben and I'll answer them for you at the end. So CLA Career Services, what we do, we're in Brunink's Hall 411. We have in-person drop-ins, virtual drop-ins. You can submit e-docs for reviews, for your resumes and cover letters. You can make appointments with me or one of my coworkers for career coaching appointments, and we have lots and lots of information on our website. Some of the things we can help you with are Handshake, LinkedIn, personal statements, informational interviews, exploring majors and careers, and networking. And then some things we do connecting you with employers are interview preparation. So we help you with interview prep, but we also have some events where employers will help you with interview prep. And then we have our job fairs, and we also have other events like employer panels where you can connect with employers, and we do other events such as like internship connections where you can connect with peers who have had interns that you might be interested in. So now I'll go over understanding your offer. So when you first think about a job offer, of course, we think about the salary, right? Your starting salary, which I'll go over in a little bit how to research that and everything. But first, a little bit about benefits that are outside the salary. And some of these things you can negotiate, and some of these things you can't negotiate. So usually like health, life, and dental, those things are usually stuff that you can't negotiate, but there might be several different plans that you could choose from, which you could find out from HR, and you can get a when you're like going through the interview process and such, you can ask HR for like a copy of what the total rewards package would be, and that would include all of this information in there so you could review it. So when thinking about your benefits, again, we think about compensation and it's easy to focus on the paycheck, but benefits play a huge role in the overall compensation, which help to attract and retain employees while supporting health, financial security, and their work-life balance. So I'm going to break down some of the most impactful types, starting with insurance. So I kind of briefly touched on it, but at minimum, most employers provide health insurance, which helps cover medical expenses like doctor's visits, hospital stays, prescriptions, and preventative care. And then some of them also include mental health services, which actually most include mental health services now, as well as vision and wellness programs. Vision sometimes is offered as a separate form of insurance as well, um, such as dental. So dental insurance is a common offering which covers like your routine cleanings, your exams, and sometimes more extensive work like crowns or orthodontics, like braces and such. But sometimes that depends on the plan. So it's always good to review the plans if like you're thinking you're going to need something like that. And then life insurance. is usually fully paid for by the employer, and it provides a payout to designated beneficiaries if an employee passes away, and it's usually a percentage of the salary. So that's something that may or may not be negotiable, but it's something that you could negotiate potentially. Um, Although hopefully you wouldn't be thinking about you passing right away at your age, but it's something to take into account in the future, or if maybe you're a non-traditional student and you have kids or something like that. And so there's also accidental death and dismemberment, which is like life insurance, but it's say you're like traveling and your plane goes down, it'll provide extra costs for that. If you're traveling for work purposes, for example. Um, and then beyond those types of insurance, there's short-term disability and long-term disability. And they're crucial for like your income protection. So it covers a portion of your salary. The base, which is usually like federal law, is 60% of your compensation or your salary annually. And that's for a limited period, such as a few months. And it's for if you're unable to work for anything such as like an illness, an injury, you have surgery, anything like that. And again, it's for short time periods. You often, employers will allow you to buy up, so you can pay in an additional amount per paycheck and go from 60% to receive 80% in case you do need it. And long-term disability kicks in if you're out of work for a longer period of time, such as like you need a year or more off for a recovery or something like that. And then going more into regular time off, it's another category of benefits that contributes to well-being and satisfaction, job satisfaction. So most companies have PTO policies, which often bundle vacation days, your personal days, and sick leave into a bank of hours. Um, Holiday hours are usually kept outside of that, but most companies also offer holiday pay. And then it allows you the flexibility to take time when you need it, whether it's for rest, personal errands, or recovery from illness. Some companies are better about letting employees take it than others. Some companies now just say they have flexible vacation hours and aren't allotting for specific PTO hours. That's stuff that can be negotiated. Usually, your vacation time is the most easy, or personal days are the most easy thing to negotiate when it comes to actual time off. However, like some employers are unwilling to negotiate on time off. Um, and then going down to non-salary financial benefits are things like just find other financial perks like tuition reimbursement. Not going to read too deep into that because I'm assuming most of you know what it is, but it helps cover costs for courses, degrees, or certifications that are often related to your role. Usually, it's not paying back your student loans that you've already got, but paying for you to go to continued education. So, uh, paying for your master's degree, something like that. Some do offer tuition reimbursement in that they will give you like $100 per month towards your student loans or something like that. Some companies do that, but that is not average. Usually when they have tuition reimbursement listed, it's to go back to school to continue your education. And then variable pay includes things like commissions or performance bonuses, which reward employees based on individual or company performance, and it aligns employee efforts with the business goals. And it's just basically an incentive program to make you want to perform better. And then relocation assistance. So if you're looking to move with your positions, it's another benefit worth mentioning. If you need to move, the company may cover the expenses, some may not, and some may only cover a certain amount of expenses. Um, and they may only cover certain things. Like they might not cover the mileage of your car to drive for your move there, but they might cover temporary housing or vice versa. Um, Setting up a new home office if you're working remote, getting paid in order to help you set that up. Um, And then there is lastly stock options, which are little, not all companies offer these because companies have to be public in order to have stock options usually. So if uh, the company shares at uh, stock with employees at a certain price. So you still have to buy the stock. It's just at a usually discounted price from what the market value is. And so if the company stock rises above the set price, employees can profit by purchasing shares at the lower rate and selling them then at market value. It not only offers like a financial gain for the employees, but also aligns the employee interests with the companies because if employees are doing better and the company's success is doing better, the stock price goes up. Therefore, employees who bought at the lower price can then sell at the higher price. Um, Going into retirement, I'll start with the ESOPs because it relates to stock options. So an ESOP is an employee stock ownership plan rather than employee stock option plan. An ESOP is a retirement plan versus like an added benefit, or an added non-salary financial benefit. It's an actual retirement plan, that invests in the employer stock. So it's 100% employer paid versus like the regular stock options you're having to buy. Um, the ESOP is the employer is putting stock into a retirement account on behalf of the employee. So as the employees accumulate shares over time, they essentially become partial owners of the company, depending on how many shares they have, right? Um, and then there's your more regular retirement plans like your 401ks and your 403bs and 457bs. 457bs are usually probably out of the three the least common compared to the other two. 401k is the most common in the private sector. Employees, sorry, contribute pre-tax income, which lowers their taxable income while saving for retirement. Many employers match that contribution. So whatever percentage of your salary per year you put into your retirement, your company will pay a certain percentage of what you're putting in as well. Um, some are higher than others, and that's often a negotiable point as well. Oftentimes, um, 403Bs employer matches are higher. Nonprofits, government sectors, but um, 403B is for nonprofits, usually like organized public schools, hospitals, things like that. So like my retirement through the University of Minnesota, for example, is a 403B. And so then a 457B is another tax advantage retirement option, which usually is available to government employees or very specific non-for-profits. A unique feature of the 457B is that it allows penalty-free withdrawals upon separation from the employer, regardless of age. So the others, like a 403B, if you needed to do an early withdrawal, you're going to have a penalty on that and have to pay an additional fee to withdraw that if you leave your employer or move to a new employer. Um, where a 457B, you don't have to do that. Um, and then um, moving on to like the perks and intangibles. Um, so like let's start with the perks. There are extras that can make your daily work life more convenient, enjoyable, and rewarding. So training and development opportunities are one, and usually training and development opportunities are really important to Gen Zs, like us. And so many employers invest in their people by offering workshops, courses, certifications, and or even mentoring programs. And these opportunities not only help employees grow their skills and stay current in their field, but they also just demonstrate that the company values long-term employee growth and advancement. And then there's flexible working arrangements, which they become increasingly important. Again, especially with Gen Z. Gen Z, all the studies so far are showing that Gen Z prefers to be hybrid, so they like that in-person time, that community aspect, but they also like to do things on their own time, and have that flexibility. So, it can greatly improve like your work-life balance and reduce your stress. Um, Many companies also offer other supportive services and amenities like transportation benefits, like transit passes, parking subsidies, or shuttle services to and from the office. For example, like the U of M pays, I can swipe my employee badge at any like public transit station, just like you guys can, and I can use public transit for free. Um, there's also like fitness perks. So like some companies like Ameriprise have on-site gyms. Others will give you discounted gym memberships, or even wellness stipends. There's like daycare assistance, and then with the shift towards remote and hybrid, some companies now provide technology perks like stipends for home office equipment or access to high quality like collaboration tools, paying for like your internet sometimes, making sure um paying for like a portion of your phone bill, things like that. And then intangibles are like harder to quantify, but just as crucial to employee satisfaction and success. So like um one of the biggest is opportunities for growth, which goes beyond like the formal training that I mentioned prior, and it looks at whether employees have like clear paths for advancement. So like, what's your career plan? Within our company, where are you going to go? You're going to start as a specialist and then go to a coordinator and then go to a generalist and then go to a business partner or however it may be. What does that look like at that company? And like, do managers actively support that career progression? Are there opportunities to take on new challenges or cross-functional projects that can give you those new opportunities to move forward like that? Because companies that foster a growth mindset, and promote from within tend to keep employees engaged and motivated longer, um, which has benefits for both the employee and both the organization. Office culture is a critical intangible. A positive culture can boost morale, improve teamwork, and make people look forward to actually going to work. Ensuring the office environment is inclusive, respectful, and supportive, and that employees are actually recognized for their contributions. And then finally, alignment with your values is increasingly important, especially again for younger generations. Employees want to feel that their work matters and that company's mission aligns with their actual personal values, whether it's a commitment to sustainability, diversity and inclusion, social responsibility, or ethical business practices. Your alignment between your personal and organizational values will foster deeper engagement and loyalty, and you'll just like love your life that much more. Um, so, all of that to be said, benefits are like more than just the add-ons. They're essential to like your overall financial health and your well-being, whether it's like your insurance coverage, your time off, the intangible or tangible perks, whatever it may be, like understanding them and understanding the package that you're being offered, will help like you make the most of what you're being offered and your negotiation to see what else you can be offered. Um, So now talking about like actually researching that salary. So knowing your market value is like key when negotiating a salary or evaluating a job offer. So like start by benchmarking. There's some websites here. This will be available to you guys afterwards. Um, Look at what other companies' postings are for the similar positions. Try and look at local averages rather than national averages because companies pay out based on usually like local um, benchmarks. So make sure you're looking at that, not national averages usually. But other strategies are to talk to others in your field, um, check in with like professional organizations and associations, which often public share salary reports for their industries. Um, review, like I said, job postings for similar roles. And for public and nonprofit jobs, there's extra resources because government salaries are actually on public record, so you can find the exact figures online. And nonprofits, sites like GuideStar publish IRS filings, which include salary info for top positions.
Sorry,
Um,
one thing I would add to that last slide there was to be looking at the cost of living in the area that you're like looking to work in. If you're looking to relocate from Minneapolis to New York, your expenses are going to go up, and therefore you're going to need to be looking for a higher salary. So one more thing to consider.
yeah, thank you. Super good point, Ben. And that kind of brings us into like our needs versus your wants. So like what do you actually need out of the job? Like those are going to be your non-negotiables. Like if they say no to it, you're not taking the job. You're hitting the road packing and going somewhere else. Doing that self-reflection and knowing these is super important. So like your needs are your non-negotiable again aspects of that job offer that are essential for your well-being, security, and long-term success. Um, And so knowing that cost of living is super important for that because if you're like moving to a new area and such and you expect a certain lifestyle and you get there and that salary isn't actually enough to maintain that lifestyle, you're going to be pretty upset. You're not going to have a great time. So understanding that while also understanding what salary your experience level can actually get you within reason. And we'll hit on that a little bit later about making sure you're negotiating within reason and stuff. But um ensure you know what your needs and your wants are. Like, are you remote only? Do you want a hybrid job? Do you want to be in the office 2 days a week and out of the office 3 days a week? Like what do you want to have 3 12-hour days and then or 4 12-hour days and a 3 day weekend? Like what is your ideal work life? And understanding that for yourself is super important because you can't negotiate, you can't understand your offer really without knowing what your values are and what you're seeking out of that offer. All right. And then some questions that you should be asking yourself while you're reviewing the offer are these listed here. And you can always ask human resources for more information. So if you have questions, like I said earlier, you can reach out to them and ask for the total rewards package during the interview process. You don't have to wait till the offer to get it. But once you get the offer, oftentimes they won't send that whole package to you. Ask for it. Always ask for it. It's totally fine to ask for it. And really take the time to read through it and understand what they're offering you and making sure that it's meeting those needs. Maybe you can't find a job that meets all your needs, so you'll need to reevaluate at some point during your job search. But that is a whole different that's a whole different show. So just make sure you're analyzing what they give you. All right.
All right. So now we'll move on to some negotiation tips. And for those of you who are just joining us or joined us a little late, if you've got any questions for us, put them in the chat and we will get to them at the end. All right. So let's start with receiving an offer. So when you can we move to the next slide? There we go. So when you first receive a job offer, your first response should always be to thank the employer and express your genuine enthusiasm. Even if you're unsure whether you'll accept the offer or not, it's important to maintain that tone of appreciation and professionalism. Then your next step would be to ask for a bit of time to review the offer. This is both expected and reasonable. 1 or 2 days is typical, but if you can ask for more if the situation warrants it. If it's a bigger decision to be made, um, you should always be requesting the offer in writing so you have the details clearly in front of you, and so that you know what they are clearly and that you're not they're not getting changed on you and that sort of thing. So when you're taking this time, use this time wisely. As we mentioned earlier, you'll start by researching what a competitive salary looks like in your area. um, area, job, industry, and location, that sort of thing. And as we mentioned earlier, some of those websites like Glassdoor, Payscale, or LinkedIn can help you with this. So then your next step would be to consider the full package. As we were mentioning earlier, benefits like health insurance, retirement plans, PTO, remote work options, and other professional development support can be, just as valuable, if not more, valuable than salary. So then it comes down to weighing your options carefully. So this is like thinking about how your offer aligns with your goals, values, and lifestyle, as we were just saying. And finally, if you decide to negotiate, prepare your counteroffer based on your research and priorities. You should be, presenting this counter or this offer as or counteroffer as respectful, data driven, and flexible. You don't want this negotiation to feel like an attack. It's on the employer. It's more so of a collaboration because you're, trying to get the best result for everyone. So now moving on, starting the negotiation. So when you're ready to open the conversation about negotiation, it's important to lead with lead with gratitude and reaffirm your enthusiasm for the role. This sets a positive tone and reinforces that you're not trying to be difficult at all. You're just trying to be justly compensated, and make sure it's a right fit for everyone involved. So you might begin something with like, "Thank you for this offer. I'm excited about the opportunity to join your team. But before I formally accept, I do have a few questions I'd like to discuss." And this is just, signaling that you're both thoughtful and serious about the role and not just trying to get the best out of it in an impulsive way. Then it's important to engage whether the employer is open to negotiation. Sometimes, as we were saying, that some things just aren't on the table. Um, so it's good to open with a gentle line like, while my decision isn't based on salary alone, I'd like to talk about the compensation for this position. Is there something you're open to discussing? And so that's just kind of, you know, opening the door for some sort of negotiation, and getting an idea of whether you're able to negotiate in the first place. And this framing is, respectful. It gives the employer some space to respond honestly. And if they're, seeming flexible about it, you'll know it's okay to move forward with your counteroffer. So during the negotiation, so once you've confirmed that the employer is open to negotiation, this is your chance to confidently present your case. So you'll start by demonstrating that you've done your homework and done your research in that sort of sense. And a good way to start would be something like, based on what I've learned about the range of responsibilities for this role and the fact that I can bring, X, Y, and Z to the table. I was thinking of something more in the range of X and Y as far as different salary options. In this, you should be specific but flexible, and this is showing your confidence without being rigid. And it's always tying your request back to the value that you'll bring to the team. So after discussing the salary, it's also important to explore different elements of the offer. Benefits can often carry as much weight and sometimes can be more negotiable, as we were talking about earlier. So, for example, you might say something like, learning and growth opportunities are important to me. So, could you share more about what professional development opportunities look like in this company and role, or that sort of thing? So, and if flexibility really matters to you, you could say something like, what kinds of flexible schedule or remote work options are available? Are there any opportunities to work from home occasionally? So, as we were saying earlier, the Gen Z is moving a lot more towards the work from home model. So that could be something that to seriously consider when you're thinking about your full-time job offer. All right, now we'll move on to some general tips. I think it's important to realize that it's all about taking your time. This is a huge decision if you are looking at an offer that has you moving across the country or across the world. You don't need to rush. You should be using the time that you've asked for to really consider the offer. Doing your research and preparing for any questions or negotiation points is super important if you're wanting to get the best out of this negotiation. Um, Second, I would say would be consulting with others, talking to mentors, professors, or career services, or family members can be great. Another group of people that I think would be really important to talk to is, some people that are already in a similar role. And it could be with a different company or at the company that you're looking to get hired at. But I think it's important to really sort of adjust your expectations to be more realistic into what the position might actually entail. So this can bring a lot of different perspectives, or maybe someone will flag a red flag that you might not have noticed before. So, and third, I'd say you need to be prepared to walk away if needed. Not everything that you are offered will be your ideal scenario. So if the offer doesn't really align with your values, needs, or worth, there's no room for flexibility. It's really okay to say no. I think this is your decision ultimately, and rejecting a job offer is not uncommon. So it could be about holding out for the right fit if you really need to. Um,
Gonna jump in. On the be willing to walk away, there's an actual negotiations term that's for that. And like when you're doing an actual any type of negotiation, you'll always have this, but it's called your BATNA, which is your best alternative to a negotiated agreement, whether that's a walk away or in some other negotiation somewhere else, it's a different type of agreement. Whether it's moving to like arbitration or something like that. But like a BATNA is your willingness to walk away. So what makes you, what's your best alternative? Continue, Ben. Thanks.
all right, so moving on, we it's very suggested that you always get every offer that you get in writing. So depending on the state that you're in, verbal promises are not always legally binding, and they're not guarantees. So having those documents and your concrete evidence will protect both you and your employer if something goes awry. And then finally, it's don't accept any offer unless you plan to follow through with it. So reneging on your offer can damage your professional reputation, especially in those like tight knit industries and the sort of word of mouth type jobs. If you're looking to get recommended for another job, you should be leaving the best impression possible on anyone you interact with in that industry. And finally, I would say that not every field or organization it has room to negotiate, as we were talking about earlier. Some fields, like highly structured government roles or nonprofit position, some those salaries can be fixed a lot of the time. So it's all about gauging whether you think that your employer is willing to negotiate, as we mentioned in that previous step. And the key is to knowing when and where a negotiation is appropriate and approaching it with professionalism and tactics that you think will, you know, be lead to the best outcome for everyone. Yeah.
Um, and on that, so you want every negotiation, again, no matter whether it's salary negotiation or not, you want the purpose of the negotiation is to come out win-win, um, not win-lose or lose-lose. You always want to achieve that win-win. And so in order to achieve that win-win, you have to be willing to make concessions as well as the other side, which is why you have to meet in the middle, right? So with that, though, with the knowledge that you're probably going to meet in the middle during this negotiation, right? You don't want to hardball them, which is a negotiation tactic in which you give them something astronomical, hoping that they'll come give you something just a little bit lower. That's actually what you want, but that's like above what they can want to give you. That's going to be a win-lose situation. The other person's going to walk away not really liking you because they feel like they lost in the situation, right? And that's the same thing for the employer. You don't want to start off bad with your new supervisor who is doing the negotiation with you because you hardballed it. And so now they're like, oh God, like maybe I made the wrong choice, right? So you don't want to start off on the wrong foot by using like hardball tactics. You also don't want to softball yourself though and go too low. You want to play in that middle ground and then use your ability to persuade and understand and have done the research and know your values in order to convince them to concede and meet you where you are. And you can even say like I'm conceding in this to meet you there. Like it can be it's a two-sided thing. Because ultimately you want both sides to walk away feeling happy and you want to feel happy too. Um, with that, again, just doing your research, like do the benchmarking, do your research on the company, know like what those other benefits are, and so know your BATNA so that you know what you're gonna say no to. Like when is your breaking point? That's probably, or even if you have one, are you somebody who has to take that job because you need the finances? Um, if that's the case, that's the case, and then you can keep looking afterwards. But always still negotiate, even if you 100%, I need this job because I haven't got another job and I'm stressing about it. Still take the job, but don't be afraid to negotiate. They might say no, and that's fine. Let them say no, but let them say no. Don't say no for them by not asking. Um, yeah. Anything else to add, Ben?
Pretty much covered it.
Cool. If you guys have any questions, go ahead and put them in the chat. I haven't seen any come up, but yeah, we'll hang out for a minute in case any questions come up. You can also feel free to email me. My email is gbrentj. That's not right. It's bjgreen at umn.edu. Um, yeah, feel free to email me and I can answer your questions there as well. You can also make an appointment with me through our scheduling on our website.
Yeah, thanks for coming, everyone.
Thank you.
Looks like we've got a hand up. If you want to throw your question into the chat, we can get to it there. Brent, you're muted.
Thanks, Ben. Somebody put, I started my job at the U this February, but I'm graduating in 2 weeks. Can I renegotiate my pay because I have a degree now? I negotiated my pay when I first got the offer, so I feel like I maybe shouldn't. Um, it doesn't hurt to ask. You can always, whoever your supervisor is, or reach out to HR. Um, I would start with the conversation with your supervisor. That's how I would start. I would start the conversation with your supervisor, and just ask, s- always with that value proposition though. So I finished my degree now. I feel like I have such and such experience from that would put me into that would give me that would put me into the position to be able to obtain a higher salary of whatever that may be. Um, yeah, I hope that made sense. But just ask. It's just a conversation. The worst they can say is unfortunately, we're not able to offer you a higher salary at this time. So, like, if you're paid hourly, for example, you might start by saying, um, I just finished my degree. I realize we agreed on such and such salary, but I'd really like to increase my pay by $1 an hour because whatever that reason may be. What value proposition do you have? Okay, next question. Um, Somebody else put, I was told by I think it's supposed to say coworker, that my company does not negotiate, but another told me they negotiated about 15,000 more, both entry position. Does this depend on departments? It can depend on the department, and um, I will say sometimes hi hiring managers don't aren't the best at saying no, and so they blame it on the company or a company policy. So that coworker, they might have said, they might have tried to like negotiate or something, and were told no by their hiring manager, because that it was like a company policy because that hiring manager didn't actually wasn't able to say like, no, we're not able to offer you because of budget reasons or whatever it may be. It's always still worth it to ask, one, and two, it can depend on the hiring manager and department unless it's like a company policy, like in their handbook, like employee guide company policy. Um, but usually that's not like in the company policy. That's just like a company, it's more of like a company culture of not providing them. Um, yeah. So it's really up in there. Always ask, always ask. Some people just don't ask. Right? So, um, but yeah, always ask. It doesn't hurt to ask. And most of the time, again, hiring managers just don't know how to say no, so they blame it on the company. Um, or like HR. I worked in HR. That's what I did prior to being a career coach. So I did this. I was always like, we can't because of budget. But um hiring managers are the one you're actually talking to, but HR is the one behind the scenes approving, telling them whether or not they can approve that salary. So it's not always up to the person you're actually talking to, which is oftentimes they're gonna have to be like, one sec, I need to see if I can approve that. Or like if you hardball them and you ask them something way above the salary that they're even able to provide, they're gonna immediately say no because they're given a certain set that they have to be in. Um, by human resources. I hope that made sense, and answered your question. But always ask. We're gonna leave it there. Any other questions? All right, I'm gonna hang out for another minute in case you come up with any as people are still on for now. I would. That's a good question. That's a good question. I would always try and start with the manager. Because ultimately HR is going to talk to your manager anyways, and you don't want your manager then thinking, they just went behind my back. That's starting a relationship bad. So I would always try and start with your manager. Because ultimately HR would work with that manager anyways, and HR is always going to go is unless it's like you're reporting your supervisor for something, but like in this case, HR will always go to the manager because they're going to have to work together on it. So even if you go to HR, HR is going to have to go to the manager and be like, "Hey, do they deserve this?" And then your manager is going to be the one to approve or deny it anyways. Um, so yeah, I would always start the conversation with the manager. And if it really goes downhill, bring in HR, right? Then you bring in HR, but always just start having that conversation with that manager. Um, and again, just have a conversation with them. Try and keep it relaxed. Come from a point of like, hey, I just want to talk, not I'm demanding this. Because the I'm demanding isn't gonna go well. Yeah, yeah. Other questions? I'll hang out for one more minute, but we are at time, so. So the easiest way to know if you're being lowballed, as in like the company is giving you too low of an offer, do that benchmarking, do your research on the position, and if it's below like the local average, um, simply ask uh higher and be include that. You can include that. Be like, I was doing some research, or I was doing research and I noticed that the offer you gave me is quite a bit below market value for the position. Could you please explain to me how you came up with that salary? Or are you able to give me such and such salary because your value proposition? Um, yeah, does that make sense? I think I answered question. When responding to it in a professional manner, keep it conversational and like direct without being again demanding. All right. And we're at time, so Ben and I are gonna hop off. But if you do have any other questions for me or want to continue these kind of conversations, feel free again to email me. My email is bjgreen@umn.edu. And you can find my bio on our website and or you can make an appointment with me also on our website. And with that, everyone have an awesome evening/afternoon.
Thanks for coming again.